Hi there guys, in this video we're going to have a look at how we can solve this binomial problem. Now, you'll notice here we've got a power of n. This is when my students tend to struggle a little bit more. So, there is an alternative formula that you will need to know, and it is this. 1 plus nx plus, and you'll see as I go through it, it's very easy to remember. In fact, you are given it, so you don't have to remember it, but it won't take much to remember. Okay, so you can see that there's just n, and then there's n times n minus 1, n minus 1, n minus 2, and that pattern will just keep going. The next one will have an n minus 3, etc. And the factorials, there's 1 factorial there, no factorial, 2 factorial, 3 factorial, 4 factorial, it just carries on. Now, the reason I've started to write this is when I see a unknown power, or a negative power, or a fractional power, basically. And because we're told this information here, the coefficient of x squared is 7, I can just go ahead and jump straight in to this part of the formula. Now, I must add as well that this formula can only be used when we've got a binomial problem in this form. Now, if that wasn't a 2, or sorry, if that wasn't a 1, for example, a 2, you just factorise for 2. But we'll save that for another video. This is already in that form. Okay, so what's n? Well, n's our power, so we can't do anything with that. So we're just going to write that numerator. 2 factorial, 2 times 1, well, that's 2. And this is the part where students begin to make a mistake. So what is our x here? So our x is x over 2. So we've got x over 2, and that is being squared if we're using this term. Okay, and just to remind you, I'm using this term because we told the x squared term. Okay, so it's just a matter of taking our time now and just expanding this all out correctly. So, there's my numerator. I'm just going to write this whole bit on the left again. Just tidy this bit up. So x over 2 squared, well, x times x squared, and 2 times 2 is 4. And it really is worth taking your time on this stage here. And what I personally like to do is, because this is the x squared term and we have this coefficient of x squared, let's see if I can use all of these and pull that in front of the x squared. So if I write the x squared there, I want just a coefficient here. So what's the numerator going to be? Well, there's only this on the numerator, so I'm going to write that again. On the denominator, we've got a 2 here and a 4 here being multiplied together, so we have 8. So using this alternative formula, my coefficient of x squared is n brackets n minus 1 all over 8. Okay, but we're told in the question that that should be 7. So I can say, well, that should equal 7x squared. And therefore, if we compare the coefficients, we can say this. Okay, so now it's just a matter of our simple algebra knowledge. Let's get rid of that divide by 8. And it's very tempting here to think, oh yes, I've got brackets, let's expand that, let's get everything on one side. Sometimes you can be a little bit sneaky here. What this says is a number multiplied by a number 1 less than it is 56. So I'm happy saying that, to look at that and say 8 times 7 is 56. So that must be my n, and that must be my n minus 1. So n is 8, and we're done. If you didn't see that and you expanded it, you'd have to factorize and you'd get this solution. Now, part B asks us to find the coefficient of x to the 4. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to use this formula. So I was just thinking about if I've got enough space on this piece of paper. So part B. So what we would have is this. The x to the 4 term, that would be our numerator if we continue this pattern along from up here. Okay. And we would have 4 factorial. Basically, easy way to remember it, whatever that power is, that's your factorial value. You're always going to have these 4 terms. That's it. Okay, but we now know what n is, so this is really easy. So 8, well that's going to be 7, that's 6, that's 5. Right, so what is 4 factorial? So 4 factorial is 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. So what we could do here, and our x, don't forget, our x is x over 2. This is the bit that most people forget. But what I'm going to try and do is, look, see if I can cancel things down, right? So 4 times 2 is 8, right? And I've got an 8 there, so I can cancel. 3 and 6, I can divide both the top and bottom as well by 3, so that would give me a 2. So I'm already making this much, much tidier. Now, I'm going to squeeze this on the bottom here. Let's tidy up this top now. We've got 70, and that's going to be x to the 4. Don't forget to do the 2 to the power 4. And that's 16. So that is 70 over 16, x to the 4. Looking at that, you're probably thinking, yeah, that goes smaller. Dead right. 35 over 8, x to the 4. And that's it. There's the coefficient of the x to the 4 term.